Throughout history, anyone who had a product or service to sell had to find a way to get its brand out there and make actual sales. The ultimate goal of anyone who has something to sell has always been the same. What has changed is the strategy and the means available to achieve that goal. Think about it. As new communication technologies appeared on the market, we came up with new ways to promote our stuff. We used catalogs, then transitioned to print ads like newspapers or magazines or billboards, then moved on to radio and then TV adverts. Then call centers started to appear and then the magic happened. The internet. Even since the internet appeared, we experienced significant changes in the way we promote our products and services. We went from static websites to the so-called Web 2.0, and we saw the appearance of things like inbound marketing, mobile marketing, video marketing, content marketing, and social media marketing. But one thing has always been constant, that is, in fact, always marketing. This is why in this section we are going to explore the fundamentals of marketing. But first, let's take a look at how the so-called traditional marketing differs from digital marketing. While traditional marketing is a one-way communication, digital marketing is an actual conversation with your target customers. Just think about it as a customer. If you open a newspaper or a magazine and see an advert that you don't like at all, there's nothing you can do about it. Sure, you can talk about it with some friends, but this will most likely have no effects on the brand who paid to have their ad printed on the magazine. And, most importantly, no other reader will know that you don't like the ad. Instead, if you see that same company posting that very same ad on Facebook, you can simply and easily share your opinion in the comment section below the post, and your message will be read by the publisher and all other users will display the ad. For a company, this means that an online advertising campaign needs constant attention and monitoring, and also a policy that dictates how comments like yours should be moderated. This might sound very negative and complicated, but it can actually be very positive because you have the chance to actually listen to your customers and make changes based on their preferences, and their preferences is what really matters in the end. I also just said that you can make changes, because you can, and you can also do that very fast with online ads. This is impossible with traditional advertising. Think about the time and resources you need to print and install a large billboard or an ad on a monthly magazine. Once it's done, it's done. You can't change it. Instead, if you understand that a Facebook ad or Twitter ad is not working, you can change it on the spot for no additional costs. The third huge difference is that now everybody can advertise. This course would not exist if the web didn't offer affordable or even totally free opportunities for people like you and me, who might have just launched their product, service, or business in general, or plan to do so in the near future. But why is it cheaper to promote online? Because of the lower demand and supply. When the supply increases, the price drops. And the supply is so high as there are so many places on the internet where you could advertise your product. Not only advertising online is cheaper than traditional advertising, but it's also smarter, because you can be very, very specific in defining your audience. But we'll discuss this aspect more in depth when we talk about Facebook advertising, as I think this is currently the best option in terms of strategic targeting. I'm not saying that it is wrong to invest in traditional marketing, because it still works perfectly for some types of products. But, well, you surely have realized that the whole world has transitioned into a very digital environment. Magazines are going digital, we perform many of our daily tasks online, such as banking online or reading books on our e-readers. We are in the so-called digital age, and it definitely makes sense to invest in a digital campaign. If you can afford a traditional campaign, the two types of marketing can coexist, but I would not recommend to go exclusively for the traditional approach. And I assume you agree with me as you've joined this course. Hi! In this lecture, we are going to talk about what a vision is and why you need one. We'll then move on to the importance of establishing clear objectives for your business and conclude discussing targets and segmentation. The first thing you need to define when planning your marketing strategy is your vision, a sort of mental picture or where you want to get a few months or years from now. It should function as a roadmap for your future. After having a clear picture in mind, you need to write it down and produce what is called a vision statement. In practical terms, the vision statement should indicate what you intend to achieve over time. The words you choose will guide each single one of your future activities. When you're uncertain about whether or not you should do something, you will simply have to ask yourself, is this going to help me achieve my vision? If the answer is no, then don't do it. As easy as that. This will help you stay focused on what really matters. Your goals and objectives should naturally flow out of your vision statement and should be both short-term and long-term. Setting concrete objectives will help you stay motivated every day. Think of specific, realistic, measurable goals and give yourself a time frame to achieve those goals. Only if you set clear goals will you be able to evaluate how you're doing. With digital marketing, this is particularly important. When it comes to your online presence, you need to understand what key performance indicators are most relevant for you and decide what is for you a good result. Let's assume that an average of 10 people interact with each of your Facebook posts. Is it good? It depends. You can answer this question if and only if you have a clear goal. Maybe you've launched your Facebook page just a couple of days ago and your goal for the first month was to have 20 people interacting with each post. In that case, the answer would be, this is great. If your goal was to have 100 interactions per post after a week, maybe you're not doing as great as you expected to. But you see, if you don't clearly set your goals, the answer to the is it good question will always be it depends. One important thing that stands between you and your goals is understanding your target customers. Marketing is all about exchanging value. You give something to your customers that is of value for them and you get profits in return. This means that you need to understand who exactly you want to address, whose needs you want to satisfy. To better understand the profile of your ideal customer, try to divide your target market into various meaningful segments. You can use various criteria as a basis for market segmentation. For example, geography, dividing potential customers by region or climate. Demographic data can also be used as a basis for segmentation. You can separate customers for their age, gender, or income levels. You can use psychographics, looking at things like lifestyle or personality. Or maybe usage rate. Are you looking at people who have already bought your product before or at first-time buyers? Choose the variables that you think are important for your product and your business. After carefully segmenting the target market, you may choose to target one or more of the segments you found. This process will help you define a strategy to market your product to each single segment that is much more effective than a one-size-fits-all approach. In our next lecture, we'll keep talking about how to define your marketing strategy. See you there. To define a successful marketing strategy, not only you need to understand your customers, but you need to also have a clear idea of how your product or service fits into the competitive environment. First of all, you need to identify your competitors. You should consider both your direct competitors and your indirect competitors. Direct competitors are your primary foes. For an airline, for example, let's say for British Airways, a direct competitor could be another airline, obviously. However, sometimes the most dangerous competitors are the indirect ones. These guys compete with you for market share, but they do so with a different product configuration or sometimes with a completely different product. Can you imagine a company launched a service that many see as a substitute product to air travel? The answer is Skype. It might sound surprising, but many people who used to fly to other countries for business meetings now can simply use Skype for conference calls. This example shows that you must carefully examine the market to identify every possible source of competition. But after that, you need to understand how you can get a competitive advantage and capture a share of your competitor's business. Generally, there are two types of competitive advantage: cost advantage and differentiation advantage. In the first case, that is cost advantage, your product offers the same value as that of your competitors, but you charge a lower price. In the case of differentiation advantage, you want to be different with respect to your competitors. You deliver something that is unique. Maybe your product is made of higher quality materials, maybe you employ a special technology to manufacture your product, or maybe you offer a series of complementary services that make your offering different from anything else that is on the market. Now, many people who want to start a blog or an online business struggle to find something that is original, as they feel that all good ideas are taken. The truth is that whatever topic you want to talk about in your blog, in your ebook, or anything like that, you can talk about it in a different way than anyone else does. Because remember, you already have something unique, that is you. So as long as you let your personality emerge, your product will necessarily be different. What you have to work on, and what I'm sure this course will help you with, is understanding how to communicate to your customers that your product is unique. We will discuss this in more details in our next lecture. As an entrepreneur, I'm sure you either have launched your business or you have at least an idea. Your product or service is unique for some reason, and you know it. However, it doesn't matter whether your competitive advantage is based on cost or differentiation. What really matters is how your customers perceive it. After segmenting your market and choosing the market segments that you want to target, it's time to position your product. Product positioning is the image that a product occupies in the mind of the customer compared to the competitor's product. You basically want to create the message that will allow you to reach your target group. Be careful. Positioning is not what you do to the product itself, but to the mind of the customers. You want to make your customers perceive your product in a certain way. And you do this by modifying, for example, the name of the product, its price, or its packaging, but not the product itself. It's all about the message that you convey to each customer segment. Generally, the message you choose should make your target customers understand how you can help them solve a problem or create an opportunity. Let's look at some concrete examples. If we talk about chocolate, I'm sure you think of two completely different things if I mention Ferrero Rocher and M&M's. The first one is of medium high quality and its high price reflects this. The second one is a low quality and low cost chocolate. This is how they position themselves. This is the image that they created in your mind. An important part of product positioning is the name of your brand. There is a great quote saying, "The brand name is like a knife that cuts the mind to let the brand message inside." It's not about having a name that simply sounds good, but that is capable of conveying the message that you want to convey. Also, when you come up with a new name for your brand or product, make sure to always Google it. You might find that someone else is already using an identical or very similar version for their business, and this could confuse your customers. But now I have a homework for you. Pick an industry of your choice and think of 4 different brands within that industry. Then write down the first 3 words that each of these brands makes you think of. You will unveil their positioning strategy by simply doing this. This will teach you that whenever you ask yourself whether your product positioning reflects your intended strategy, you can simply ask some of your customers. Pick one and ask them the first 3 words that they associate to your product. That's it. So now that we've covered the fundamentals of marketing, it's time to dive deep into the really fun stuff. In our next lecture, we'll start discussing social media and why they are a trend that you just cannot afford to miss. See you there. I can't wait.